so there's no comparison there. It bothers me because it's not like she's not spending the money. With that said though, the 6 new shades, you can just tell in the way that her eyeshadows blend, I promise you. Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review, swatches, and 3 eye looks with the new Celestial Divinity palette from Pat McGrath. I am super excited to bring you guys this video today because I have been waiting for this palette for 2 weeks now. I cannot wait to get my hands on it and tell you guys all that I think about it and whether or not this is actually a good holiday purchase. I feel like there's been a lot of speculation around the fact that it was a cheaper palette. Will the formula be the same as her more expensive ones? Is it worth it overall? And I am here to answer all of your guys' questions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with today's video. I'm super excited that this palette finally arrived, and perfect timing for me because I was on vacation for a while and I just got back yesterday and this palette arrived at my doorstep today. I'm super excited to get into it, show you guys the swatches, tell you all that I think about it, and also of course show you the 3 eye looks that I created for this video. First of all, I think I want to discuss the negatives around this palette. Negative number 1 was that this palette has a bunch of repeated shades. So those of you who have been collecting Pat McGrath for a while, if you bought the Star Wars palettes, there were 2 palettes, 6 shadows each. I'm going to like insert a picture right here for you. If you have those palettes, you have 2/3 of this palette because the 2 rows on both sides of this palette are the same shades as the Star Wars palette. So the only new colors to this one are the colors right in the middle. I feel like that's definitely a huge negative for those of you who have those Star Wars palettes. I didn't, so I was super excited to get my hands on this one. This palette retails for $78, which is the most affordable Pat McGrath palette to date because she has her $68 palettes as well, but those only have 6 shades. So for the amount of shades that you get in here, this is definitely the most affordable palette she has launched yet. The second negative I want to talk about is the packaging. This being a more affordable palette does not have the luxurious packaging that Pat McGrath usually has. And when I first saw it, I was a little disappointed, and this is just me being picky because I felt like some of the pans are kind of like lifting. Let me see if the camera picks it up. Like they're not even all the way like in the little holes, they're like lifting a little bit. So that was just kind of my first impressions on the packaging. I was like, okay, it's simpler packaging, I get it, we're paying a lot less for it, no complaints about that. But when I saw that some of the pans were like lifting a little bit, and I'm not saying that I can get them out of there, I'm just saying that they were put on there kind of like unevenly. But at that point, I still hadn't swatched any of the shades or played with them, so that was just kind of my first impressions. I'm definitely grateful that they still put a mirror in here. Mirrors are always helpful in palettes, and I'm not sure if I love this little band that doesn't let me open it all the way, because sometimes I kind of like to flip my palettes around to hold them more comfortably. So just an FYI, this is not the super luxurious packaging that we're used to from Pat McGrath, but I mean that was also kind of to be expected because it is a much more affordable palette than what she usually releases. And then the third and last negative thing I have to say about this one is the shipping. You guys, this took 2 whole weeks to arrive. 2 full weeks. And it bothers me because it's not like she's not spending the money on the shipping. Once the palette gets the label created and shipped, it's at your house in 2 days. It's the processing time. They spent a week and a half putting a label on the palette to be able to ship it out. And I feel like as a consumer, you are just excited to play with your palette you just spent your money on, you know? You want to get it definitely sooner than 2 weeks. It just launched at Sephora 2 days ago, and if I had ordered it at Sephora, I would have gotten it at the same time that I got it ordering from the Pat McGrath website. And I love supporting the brands directly, so I love ordering from their websites, but I just really wish that it wouldn't take 2 full weeks for me to receive my palette when ordering from patmcgrathlabs.com, you know? I'm going to definitely leave you guys both links down in the description box of this video. I'm going to leave you the Pat McGrath link and the Sephora link, so if you guys want to go ahead and purchase the palette, you have both options over there. And you can kind of choose which one to go for. Sephora just has a lot quicker shipping, you know? So now let's get into the swatches, and I'm going to read you the names of the eyeshadows from left to right. So the first color is Saturnalia, then we have Bronze Nebula, Major Mahogany, Lunar Champagne, Violet Void, Gold Standard, Venomous Void, Odyssey, Fuchsia Shock, Megabyte, Bronze, Electron, Cosmic, Smoked Amethyst, Dragonfly, Venusian Orchid, Galactic Gold, and Corruption. So those are all the shades that come in this palette. As you can see, it is mostly a mix of metallics and duochromes, and then we have only 3 matte shades. I will say, as soon as I swatched this palette, I knew that she saved money on the packaging, but the formula is the formula that we're used to from Pat McGrath. Everything swatched super smoothly, super intensely pigmented. All of the shimmery shades really stand out. If you want to see closer up swatches of the palette, I did a little reels video for my Instagram. My Instagram is at @PattyCAlonso, and you can find it on my reels there. I've been having fun creating those little swatch reels for Instagram, so make sure that you check that out. When I swatched the palette and I saw how reflective the shades were, I knew that I was going to have a blast playing with this one. So now I have some palettes here that I want to compare them to so that you guys see the size comparisons. This is the previous Pat McGrath palette I bought, the Rose Decadence palette, and this is the size of that one in comparison to the new one from Pat McGrath. So as you can see, it's a lot smaller here and also a bit shorter. And I wanted you to also see the difference in the sizes. As you can see, these are much smaller pans than what Pat McGrath usually releases. With that said, she usually releases large pans. This is kind of like the standard pan size that we're used to from a lot of other brands. So definitely no complaints about getting a little bit less per eyeshadow when we're getting all of these different colors. I love that. I wanted to also compare it to a Morphe palette. This is the Jaclyn Hill 2 palette. So as you can see, it is just as wide as a Morphe palette. It's just not as tall as Morphe palettes are. And going back to shade sizes, I think that these are probably around the same size. Maybe the Morphe ones are like a teeny tiny bit bigger, but I could barely tell the difference myself. Lastly, this is it compared to Mothership number 5. And of course, her luxury $125 palettes have like a super luxe packaging, so there's no comparison there. But again, we are getting a lot of shadows for a lot less money. So now that you've seen the swatches and some packaging comparisons, let me go ahead and show you the 3 looks that I created for you in this video. I had so much fun playing with this palette. I will tell you all about it once I'm back. I have the color Venusian Orchid on my Rephr number 15 brush, and I'm going to start just back and forth blending this crease out with that shade. As you can see, it's like a really beautifully pigmented pink shade, and I'm just back and forth doing some windshield wiper motions. I grabbed a little bit more and I'm going to make it go a little higher to right underneath my brow bone. And this is how things are looking before I move on to the next step. For the next step, I have my Rephr number 1 brush and the color Fuchsia Shock, and I'm going to start by placing that color right on the outer corner of my eye and moving it inwards a little bit. And this is a beautiful like pink purple metallic. It's like right in between a pink and a purple. And I'm going to start blending it into the crease. I'm going to just move it upwards into that crease area and just blend it back and forth with that Rephr number 1 brush. Back with a little bit of that matte pinky shade, I'm going over it to make sure things blend nicely with my Rephr number 15 brush. Alright, and this is how things are blending so far. Next, I'm going to use my Rephr number 2 in the color Cosmic, and I'm going to put it all over the eyelid area. And this is just a beautiful glittery pink shade, and you can use it on its own like I'm doing, or you can put it on top of any other color because it has the most beautiful like sheer glitter. Okay, so this is how things are looking so far. Let me do some face makeup and I'll be right back to finish look number 1. I'm back with some makeup on, and I'm going to get my Rephr number 14 brush in the color Venusian Orchid, and I'm going to just back and forth swipe it underneath my eye, grabbed a little bit more, and I'm going to soften this outer edge right here by just back and forth swiping that color through it. Just for the sake of trying more colors, I'm going to grab the color Violet Void, and I'm going to back and forth smudge it underneath my lower lash line with my Rephr number 3 brush. And I'm also going to add it to the outer corner of my eye on top with that small little number 3 brush. Back with the number 14, nothing added, just whatever remaining color it had. I'm just making everything mixed together nicely by swiping back and forth and on that outer corner of the eye. A little bit more Violet Void to the outer corner of the eyelid here. I actually really loved how this color transformed this look. I really like the purple and pink combined much more than the pink alone. I grabbed a bigger brush to add even more to it. This is the Rephr number 2. Oh my god, and now I truly love the way this turned out. I just added a bit more depth to that outer corner, put it underneath the eye, and this looks so bomb. By the way, there is a teeny tiny bit of patchiness right here, and I can't make it go away, and I think it's that I applied the Anastasia primer all over and it didn't reach this little corner here when I applied it, and so the color's not hanging on to my skin the same way because there is a little patch of no primer there, and so that is why this looks a little bit patchy here. But that was my fault. I didn't blend my eyeshadow primer properly. For my waterline eyeliner, I can't think of a better color than Perpetrator from Fenty. I just put it on my waterline and tight lined with it a little bit. I can't think of a better color eyeliner to go with this eye look. Let me do some mascara and show you look number 1. Okay, I'm back, and this is what things are looking like with the Pat McGrath Dark Star mascara on. I'm obsessed, you guys. Like, this look went from like a 3 to like a 10 real quick, just with the purple, I feel like. Oh my god, I love that purple so much. Now let me show you what it would look like with some lashes. Alright, and this is what we're looking with some Bella lashes on from Glamnetic. This is the final look number 1. I absolutely love the way this one came out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to top this off with anything. I just realized I didn't put anything on the inner corner of my eye, and I can totally leave it like this, but I'm going to just add a little bit more sparkle to the inner corner. And this is the same color I have on my eyelid. Alright, so now for real, this is the final look number 1. I'm going to start the second look with the color Major Mahogany on my Rephr number 15 brush, and I'm back and forth blending that color on the crease of my eye, putting a little more on the outer corner, and again just blending it into the crease. Something I love about Pat McGrath eyeshadows is even though she doesn't make a lot of mattes, you can really use her mattes in very different ways. Like this looked like the most intense mahogany shade ever, but as you can see, when you get a big soft fluffy brush like this Rephr number 15 and you just play around and blend that shade, you have a very dimensional shade. It goes all the way from the crease and it goes a little darker on the outer corner where you first placed it. So it gives you that beautiful gradient effect that you usually layer mattes for. I'm going to add a little bit more on the outer corner, again because that way I'll have a bit more intensity where I want it, now that I've diffused that shade all the way to underneath my brow. With my Rephr number 2, I'm going to grab the color Bronze Nebula and I'm going to put it all over the eyelid, and I'm just tapping and swiping with that brush. Next, with that same brush, I'm going to layer the color Galactic Gold over because I want to add a little bit of extra dimension, a little bit of extra sparkle, and I think I'm going to do it like on the inner half of the eyelid. Just for the sake of seeing more colors, I'm going to get the color Gold Standard and put it right here in the center of my eyelid. And this is a much more like yellow gold and it looks beautiful. So I'm doing center towards the outer corner with this one, and that added a lot more pop to this eye look. So I'm going to be right back with some makeup on my face and finish it up. I'm back, so let's go ahead and finish up the second look. I have the color Lunar Champagne here on my number 2 brush, and I'm going to use that one as my inner corner highlighter for look number 2. Blend it in a little bit. For under the eye with the number 14 brush from Rephr and the color Major Mahogany, I'm just going to smoke things out under the eye. Of course, make sure to connect it right here at the end. Next, I'm grabbing the color Gold Standard in my number 3 brush from Rephr, and I'm going to put it right here on the inner part of the under eye and just blend it back into that mahogany shade. And so this is the way things are looking so far, and I think I'm going to leave it at this. Let me put on some mascara and show you look number 2. Okay, I'm back, and this is look number 2 with mascara on. I also used the PÜR eyeliner in brown on the waterline of my eye just to deepen things up on the waterline a little more. And so this is look number 2 with the Dark Star mascara from Pat McGrath on. Let me be right back with some falsies to show you what that looks like. Once again, I'm back, same blushes from look number 1, and this is the final look number 2. This is just a really nice neutral brown smoky eye with lots of gold on the eyelid, and I really love it. I definitely really enjoyed how that mahogany shade can go from the sheerest to very intense, and it's super easy to blend it out. So this right here is look number 2. Let's move on to the third one. Okay, for look number 3, I'm going to start with the color Major Mahogany and my number 15 brush, once again from Rephr, and I'm going to do some windshield wiper motions on the crease of my eye with that color and just back and forth blend it upwards so that the color diffuses just like it did for look number 2. I am going in a little further this time towards this inner part here because I'm going to do a halo eye. Once again, starting on the outer corner, we're going to blend Major Mahogany into the crease. Now that I've blended Major Mahogany all around the eye area, I'm going to get the color Dragonfly and I'm going to put it right here on the inner and outer parts of my eyelid, but skipping the center. And this color Dragonfly is a beautiful dual chrome shade. So I'm just leaving a little space for the center, and I'm not going all the way to the outer or inner corners. I'm also leaving a space right there. Now I'm grabbing the color Megabyte, which is this beautiful green right here, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right in the center of the eyelid, just tapping it with my finger. I grabbed a little bit too much, so I have some fallout right here. I should have grabbed less, to be honest with you. But that's okay, I haven't done my concealer yet, so I can fix it still. Next, also with the tip of my finger, I'm going to grab a little bit of Galactic Gold and I'm going to put it right over top of that green shade. And it's going to just make it a little bit lighter right in the center of the eye. I know this looks messy, but we're about to fix that. I'm going to get some more Major Mahogany, but this time on my number 14 brush from Rephr, and I'm going to tap it on the outer corner to darken things up back there, blend it upwards a little bit, and of course I'm also going to intensify the inner corner of the eye. Lastly, with the number 15, nothing added to it. I'm just going to go around everything and make sure that things blend into one another. Alright, and this is the top of look number 3. Let me clean up underneath my eye and put on concealer, and I'll be right back to finish this one up. To finish up the third look, I'm going to grab Major Mahogany on the number 14 brush once again, and I'm going to just back and forth swipe that color under my eye, and of course connect it right here at the end. Just back and forth with very light pressure. Then with the color Galactic Gold and my Rephr number 2 brush, I'm going to do the inner corner of the eye. I'm going to just blend it in ever so slightly on top of my eyelid. For under the eye, with my number 3 brush and the color Dragonfly, I'm going to just go under the middle part of the eyelid here. Then I'm going to add a little bit of Megabyte right in the center of that, and a little Galactic Gold right in the middle as well, just to kind of mimic what we did on the top of the eye. For my waterline, I'm going to use the PÜR Brown Eyeliner, and this right here is look number 3 before mascara. Let me do some mascara and show you what that would look like. I'm back with the Dark Star mascara on, and this right here is look number 3. Nice, super smoky, sultry halo eye. I love it. That color, I keep wanting to call it Beetlejuice, but it's called Dragonfly. It is really beautiful, and also the green with the gold on top. I love all the shimmers in this eye look. So let me put on some lashes and show you the final look, number 3. I'm back with the Bella lashes from Glamnetic on once again. I extended the eyeliner in a little bit into the inner corner of my eye there, and this is the final look, number 3. I really love how dark and sultry this one turned out. Now that you've seen all 3 of them, please let me know down in the comment section from 1 to 3 which one was your favorite look. I'll let you know which one my favorite look is in a minute. And I am back, and I'm here to tell you which one my favorite look was. I really loved looks 1 and 3. Look 2 was really good too, but I feel like that one you can get with a lot of other palettes. I thought look number 1 was so unique, and this one that I'm wearing right now is very unique as well. I feel like if I had to pick one for some reason, I think I would pick look number 1, but I'm obsessed with the way that this one came out too. I just love how nice and sultry it is. Everything I'm wearing on my face, including my lip combo, if you guys are interested, is going to be linked down in the description box of this video if you guys are curious. But now let's get back to the Celestial Divinity palette, and let me tell you my final thoughts on the palette. Do I think this palette is worth it? 100% I think this palette is worth it, especially for the $78 price tag. If you've been wanting to try Pat McGrath for a while and you just haven't been able to justify in your mind, you know, paying $68 for 6 eyeshadows or paying $125 for her luxury palettes that have 10 eyeshadows, this is the perfect opportunity for you, because you have 18 beautiful shades in here that you're going to get so much use out of. My one thing that I was thinking I probably wouldn't like about this palette is the fact that it only has 3 matte shades, but I'm telling you that Pat McGrath mattes, you just need a few, because you can blend them out into nothingness. I say this every time I do a Pat McGrath review. Her mattes can go from the darkest to the lightest. You can turn this dark mahogany color right here into a transition shade if you just blend it, and they blend out so easily that really with the 3 mattes you have enough mattes to combine with all of the glorious shimmers that come in this palette. With that said though, if you're someone who doesn't like super sparkly or shimmery eyeshadow, then I would probably not go for this one, because that is most of what you're getting in this palette is just nice shimmers and dual chromes. I personally absolutely love shimmers and dual chromes because they make you create super fun looks like the ones that you saw in today's video, but I totally understand that shimmery eyeshadows are not for everybody. So yes, I think it's worth it. The only way it wouldn't be worth it for me is if you already own both of the Star Wars palettes that have the same shades that this one has, then you know it would be silly to buy a $78 palette just for 6 new shades. With that said though, the 6 new shades are bomb, okay? But I understand that if you have those collections, it's definitely not worth it. But for those of us that didn't have them and missed out, this is a beautiful Pat McGrath palette. I definitely encourage you to go ahead and get it if you've been thinking about the formula, because it is 100% worth it. Everything she saved on packaging to create a cheaper palette, she did not save on the formula. This is Pat McGrath's formula through and through. So again, if you've been wanting to try her eyeshadows, this right here is definitely your opportunity to do so. You can just tell in the way that her eyeshadows blend. I promise you, you will absolutely love this palette. Let me go ahead and wrap this up before my camera dies. I absolutely love the palette and I totally think it's worth it. It is, I think, the holiday release that I've been most excited about this year so far. And it definitely has all of the sparkles that you'll need year round. So it is an 11 out of 10 for me, even though the pans are not in there correctly. There's just one more thing I have to tell you before I go, and I'm going to leave details of this in the description box of this video if you are interested. Starting October 9th, there's going to be a site-wide 20% off of Rephr brushes. I'm going to leave you a link down below, and also I'm going to leave you the code that you need in order to get the 20% off, and they're going to have free worldwide shipping. Rephr brushes, if you don't know, are the brushes that I used throughout this whole video and my favorite brushes to use, period. I stopped using the rest of my brushes when I first got into Rephr brushes because I love them that much. I had been telling you guys about the core collection being discounted, so that is going to happen on the 12th of October. So it's going to have an $80 discount, so you'll be able to get them for $88, and it is a truly wonderful way for you guys to get your hands on some Rephr brushes. Besides the core collection, I recommend that you get the number 15 and the number 14 brush. Those two are super essential and I absolutely love them, so you can add those to your core collection and I believe they'll qualify for that 20% off, so win-win. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I'm going to leave you all of this information down in the description box of this video if you are interested. I believe that is all I have to say. I'm super excited that I bought this palette, 100% worth it. Get yours if you've been waiting because you are absolutely going to love it. I'm not only glad I bought it, but I'm glad that it's part of my collection now. I will cherish it forever. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you all so much and I hope to see you back in the next one. Don't forget to please subscribe to my channel if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye!